Hi, this is Doug Bradley, Pinhead from the Hellraiser movies, and you're listening to the Night of the Living podcast, and you better keep listening or I'll tear your iPod apart.
Be advised, mature content ahead. This podcast is brought to you ad-free thanks to the Legion of Demons at patreon.com/NOTLP. If you like what you hear, there's much more at patreon.com/NOTLP. Join the Legion. That's patreon.com/NOTLP. And now the show.
How do you do? Just a word of friendly warning. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
I decided to dust off the Doug Bradley bumper and throw it on there.
Well, I'm glad you did, because if listeners, if you don't listen, Doug Bradley's going to tear your iPod apart, and they're hard to find now. Yeah. So
they're antiques.
I would suggest listening.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I still use mine.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab your Zune by its balls. I'm going to tear out your mini SD.
But iTunes doesn't exist anymore, so it's hard to upload your music on there now.
Yeah, it's just Apple. Yapples.
Yapple.
We're continuing our more Cushing-Lee for the Pushing-Lee. Mm-hmm. We're going to be talking about Dr. Terror's House of Horrors.
Got some good Cushing-Lee in this.
Yep. First, Andy will review the 2019 film Assimilate, starring Joel Courtney. Who's that? Zach.
He's Zach.
I'm Freddy. Amy's here.
Hi.
That's a lot of first names.
Andy
Joe
is
Courtney
here.
as Zach.
Andy as Courtney. And featuring Kelley Kombrinck as Herman Menderchuk.
Wait till you hear what I do with that character.
It's out of this world.
It's amazing, if I do say so.
And you're Freddy?
I'm Freddy. I said that at the beginning.
Fucking,
that's okay.
who gives a shit?
Well, it's good to close the circle.
Yeah.
Open it and close it.
And
with
you
I'm
are
Freddy.
who you are, listener.
Yeah. Wherever you are, that's where you are.
So philosophical.
Yeah.
If you
Stand in the
lived
place
here,
where you live.
you'd be home by now.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Today we're going to talk about...
Gargoyles.
Oh.
Gargoyles.
Gargoyles.
Psychics.
Witches.
York-sided things.
So, we were. I almost segued into this when we were recording our intro for Origins. This week, Origins, episode 73. Kelley took some notes on that until we couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, it was a long one.
If you're a patron, you can access that patreon.com/NOTLP. Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah.
Pins and shirts are out in the mail.
Oh, shit.
Not all of them.
No,
I'm working
almost
on it.
done. But I started seeing messages on the Discord server. People are getting excited about getting their pins. They love your design,
Nice.
Kelley.
Thank you, everyone.
It's a fun
Wait till
Scooby-Doo
next year.
inspired one.
Wait till you see what I do.
But the
Again,
ones for this year...
I don't
are
actually
great.
know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And they're hitting the mail. I got a few more shirts and pins to send.
Yeah.
And that will be finished up this week.
That's very exciting. I love swag.
Swag.
A little reverse domestic
Stuff we
abuse.
all get.
Stuff we all get.
Hit in the mail.
Is that from The Office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swag.
Swag.
So the thing I was going to bring up during that intro to Origins, because we were talking about something that reminded me, but Amy and I just started watching Relate to the Party on this Pin 15
Yeah, on
on
Hulu.
Hulu. Have you guys seen this? It is one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. It's kind of like Strangers with Candy.
Yeah.
It is a story of these two incredibly awkward middle school girls played by 30-something adults, I think.
That's fun.
But the rest of the cast are actual middle school age kids.
Yeah.
And
It's
a lot
filthy and uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like Big Mouth meets Strangers with Candy, kind of a blend of those two.
Yes.
Is it weird to see the middle school kids?
It's gross and uncomfortable.
They do it,
Is it
obviously,
tasteful,
in a legal way.
It's gross, man. It will make you nauseous in a way that only middle school age people can make you nauseous.
They make me nauseous.
Yeah.
That is the worst age, right?
Middle school was
it's the worst part of your life.
Yeah.
If you're in middle school and you're listening to this.
Oh, stop.
I actually hated. I'm so glad Cole's out of middle school now because I used to hate going back there. First of all, he went to the same middle school. Amy and I. Did you go to Coy Middle?
No,
I went.
You went to White Oak.
White Oak.
You love this talk, listeners? Where we all used to go to middle school. Where'd you go?
White Oak.
Okay, Corey Middle School is just a horror show, and it still is.
Yeah,
and I hated going there for his events.
Mm-hmm. I started at White Oak right after they changed it from calling it a junior high school.
Yeah, me too.
To a middle school. And middle school is such a more accurate term for what it is because your life is meaningless.
Yeah, and at that point, and everybody's super weird. It's Lord of the Flies for those 2 or 3 years.
Well, when I moved to Ohio, I was 12, and I moved from Virginia Beach. And where I was in Virginia Beach, I was still in elementary school. Elementary.
That
was weird, right?
Elementary.
You were in elementary school.
Elementary.
On an onomatopoeia school. And so I was still, and so when I moved here, I was in 6th grade, which was still elementary. And now I was in a junior high with a locker in a place that had snow, and I was still trying to figure it all out. And it was quite the whiplash.
Well, to continue this going, I was in the first when I left 6th grade, it was still elementary.
Yeah.
So I only did 7th and 8th in middle, but the year I went to 7th grade was also the first year they changed it to 6th, 7th, and 8th. So everyone who had been a 5th grader when I was a 6th grader went with me to the middle school.
So
okay, is everybody done writing that down?
Do you remember that story you used to tell about the jar of pennies getting smashed over the kid's head?
Yeah,
that is this show kind of in a nutshell. Like the random weird shit that kids that age do, and
I had a kid get a jar of pencils smashed over his head, but that was pencils. That was in high school.
Yeah, not pennies. But I told Amy, I said, I think the reason I laugh so hard at this is whenever we reminisce about high school, middle school, whatever. It captures that bizarre aspect of that era of your life and how the teachers interact with the students.
And they're weird too. Listen, if I know some of you are teachers out there, you might even be middle school teachers, and maybe you're not weird, but
maybe
most of the ones are.
Yeah.
And they also have kind of a weird Arrested Development, I've noticed.
Yeah, but here's the thing about middle schoolers. They scare me more than anybody else in the world.
Well, I told Amy, I felt like these two could kill somebody. It's almost like Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
They're scarier than like toddlers. They're scarier than high school kids. They're scarier than ISIS.
They're starting like the real deal puberty. Like your brain is being bathed in new chemicals and it can't figure anything out.
Well, they're insane.
You don't understand consequences yet, really.
No.
And they're evil.
Yeah, they are evil. The girls, the bullying I went through. Middle school is just a fucking nightmare.
I'd love to look up some studies about the behavior of them.
Just to give you an example, though, of how gross the show can be. The second episode, I think it is, the one girl discovers masturbation. She's playing with her My Little Ponies in her bedroom on the floor. And she's like, and then all of a sudden they cut to this. It looks like something out of a Cronenberg movie. It's a close up of her crotch.
Yeah.
And it starts pounding.
Is this an animated show?
No, it's live action. It's so gross. And
you don't see it, do you?
She's wearing underwear.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, it's almost worse. And she just starts like beating the shit out of herself, you know,
with the Little Ponies.
No. She just starts masturbating like crazy, and the grandma that she lives with comes in.
That's her mother.
Or her mother, yeah, because the actor is just a little older.
It's actually her real mom.
It is her real mom. Yeah. That explains why she's older. She comes in and starts sniffing the air in the room. And she's like, and the girl notices. She goes, "I farted," and she says, "It smells strange." She goes, "I had sweet potatoes."
What does that even mean?
I don't know. It's just so gross. Everything is so gross. There's an episode where they steal a thong from another kid.
Yeah.
And they find that when they wear it, they feel so empowered, by it, that they're obsessed. They keep fighting over whose turn it is to have the thong, whether they should return it or not. And it is so... It's so funny. I was in tears a few times, and I almost suffocated during the band episode where she gets the drum solo at the band rehearsal or the whatever they call
Recital.
it. Recital. Thank you.
You know who they're...
Kids are disgusting.
Yeah.
They smell, they're sticky, they're wet.
They touch too many things.
They're all kinds of things. They're gross.
I really wish I could watch this with you guys. I wish we had more time in our lives to sit and just watch Pen 15 together.
The band teacher in that episode played by Tuvok.
Yeah, Tuvok from Voyager.
Voyager.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun little cameos. Her dad is Al Borland from Home Improvement.
I haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah.
What's his name? Richard
Karn.
Karn, yeah.
Yeah. He hosted Family Feud for a little
He
while.
did.
Yeah. His character is he's in a Steely Dan cover band.
He looks like that kind of person.
Yeah, he's the drummer in a professional Steely Dan cover band, and it takes place in the year 2000.
Yeah,
and he faxes letters home to them from all the hotels on his tour. Is how he keeps up with them, and it's just funny. She'll sit by the fax machine, and her best friend's parents are constantly in danger of you could see they're always on the verge of divorce and then making up, and it's her like sitting on the stairs watching them whenever they're getting along, and she's just in love with her parents,
Yeah.
And it's Melora from
Melora Walters.
Melora Walters from Magnolia.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
She's got that high pitched voice. Kind of.
She kind of has an Amanda Plummer style of acting. The show's one of the best comedies I've seen in a long, long time. But yeah, it'll make you squirm. It'll make your toes curl up. And all the hairs on your neck stand up, and you'll want to vomit a couple times.
Or in a good way.
And you can't eat. Well, there's probably some pervert out there who's really enjoying it too.
Yeah,
so
good for them.
Incredibly strange.
I mean, I'm going to take that recommendation and I'm going to say, yeah, I'll watch it, but I never do.
Well, you like Strangers with Candy and Big Mouth, so you're going to like this.
I'm one of those people that said, when people recommend things to me, yeah, I'll put it on my list, then I'll go back and watch the same shit over and over again.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're on season 6 of Golden Girls as well, so.
I'm about the same time as you guys.
Yeah, you're not that far behind.
Rose almost got HIV.
I know.
Yeah, that's right.
From her gallbladder surgery.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I know.
That show can be such a bummer sometimes. Where I'm just
but not from fucking.
This episode's about dying alone. This episode's about being homeless. Oh, look, Rose has AIDS. It's a comedy.
So yeah, how's everybody doing?
Good.
I feel it's warm in here now.
It is a little
super
warm.
Well, you're right by the furnace.
Yeah.
This is a very small house.
Okay.
Freddie took his shirt off during Origins. We recorded that earlier. He just took his shirt off. Bop.
He's got nips out right now, guys.
I would have done it if I almost didn't wear a shirt under my hoodie.
Yeah.
And I totally would have also. And you would have been treated to that, but
you open the last
treat.
The last minute I put a shirt on because I knew it was chilly outside.
Open a window. It smells like sex in here.
Or sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potato farts or sex. They smell the same.
Okay, but do you guys have a gross middle school story along the lines of penis? Was it Pen 15?
Yeah. I mean, just the whole experience was gross.
Everything was gross. Yeah. I can't think of anything that wasn't.
Mostly just my feelings.
It's the beginning of body odor, I think, too.
I do have a very powerful memory when they took the elementary school kids to the middle school, they took the 6th graders for a day to tour around. They walked everybody around. And I remember going up the back stairway and it smelled so powerful. And I mean, I'm not making this up. I'm not even exaggerating. I was blown away because I never smelled. It was the smell of feet. It was like that. It was that the way they smell like Fritos.
That's dogs. Dogs' feet.
Well, also
and middle schoolers.
Middle schoolers. It hit me so powerfully. I was like, I don't even understand exactly how this happened. It was so gross. And of course you get used to it once you're there. But for that day, I was like, this is horrible. Is this what everything is going to be like from now on?
We should make
smell like Fritos.
A horror film about middle school where the students' disgustingness turns into some sort of big booger monster.
I agree.
Everybody's just sprouting hairs and
not showering
enough, or not figuring out
they've got
deodorant
fucking
rhythm yet.
crusty shit on their clothes.
The middle school.
What is that?
Call it the middle school meat train.
Yeah.
Or the middle school feet train.
Ma'am. Yeah. Okay, but You think it's changed at all?
No, it hasn't.
Or are middle schoolers the same as when we were young?
Yes.
Middle school is just gross, man.
They are.
If there's a middle schooler in your life, be sure to get them some Axe body spray for Christmas. Just it's cheap.
So
It'll
they
do
can
the
smell
trick.
like a pussy magnet.
Yeah.
Pussy.
It's just easy for them, okay?
Here's the thing, though. It's just going to blend with whatever odors they're creating, and it's going to make something worse.
That's a good way to create a chud.
Do you, well, you know how like if you're in the bathroom, use a bathroom and it's stinky, you got your air freshener and you spray it till the certain point where you're like the smell of that air freshener
It makes it worse.
Yeah.
They combine to make something worse. They do.
or it just brings to mind only shit, even though it smells like a pine
gosh.
tree.
Okay, I need to get this off my chest. But like I have in 6th grade, I shit my pants during class
Okay, oh god.
because
That's
I was
a bad time for that.
I was so scared to ask the teacher to go to the bathroom because she was real mean.
Aw.
And I just shit I was sitting down in the chair.
Yeah.
And I just shit.
Oh my god, was it
And then
loud?
I want to,
No, it was like
Was it stinky?
it just oozed out.
Oozed?
Yeah.
the shitting of the pants isn't the part of the story you need. There's the heist element of how you resolved it.
Oh God. Well, I thought because it was in between classes.
Yeah.
And then I'd let everybody leave.
Yeah.
Because we had a break. And then I thought I was like, I put my folder on the chair. And then I ran to the bathroom. And then I didn't get back in time for class. And then she had to send somebody to check the bathroom. And like I heard the voice like, Andy, you okay? I was like, damn it. I got caught.
Caught doing something everyone does. Yeah, that's the problem with teachers. They never like, sorry, man, go take a shit.
Yeah.
But did everybody figure it out?
Yeah, because when I got back to class, my folder was not on my chair.
And there's a turd there.
Was there a greasy little spot?
And they kept calling on it.
No, I think I didn't shit. I don't think it oozed out of my pants.
Did they ask you if you had enough
Yeah.
to share with everyone?
Tootsie Rolls. Andy brought Tootsie Rolls.
Why they melted?
Our friend Carl almost ruined Smart Food for me because of a middle school story.
The popcorn?
Yeah. He there was a girl he knew who would constantly eat it, and then she puked it up all over their classroom. And
Oh, gross.
and I was like, you're not gonna let you ruin Smart Food for me. It's too great.
I have a pie vomit story from high school I could share.
Oh yeah.
But I could save it for another time.
Is it like where they're like boom ba ba boom ba, and then they started puking on each other, the greasy grimy gopher guts.
It's exactly like that. Davey Hogan.
Now, did this happen to you or somebody else?
It happened to me. I was in school suspension one day, and my mom had made chocolate pie the night before, and I had eaten a large piece for breakfast. Like right before school, I
Yeah.
just shotgunned a piece of chocolate pie.
That sounds about right for you.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
And I got there and I started feeling bad. And the teacher, I don't know, listeners, if you've been in school suspensions where they put you if you're bad and you spend the day there and you read Thomas Harris books. And and the teacher who was watching that bell was a bitch, Miss Prince. She's the one that I left the newspaper because of her. And I told her, I went up and I said, I'm going to throw up. Can I please go to the bathroom? And she was like, no. She's like, you can wait till we go at lunch. And I was like, I really can't. And she was like, sit down. So I sat down, and then I told my buddy Ray was in there with me, and I was like, you're going to want to move over. And I tried to, this is literal truth. I tried to get up and go puke on her desk. I was going to go right up and do it on her desk, but I got real dizzy and I like kind of fell back into my seat and it just was like, bleh, and it was just black.
Oh, did it spray?
No, but it splattered. And then
it scattered.
Oh, and she did. I forgot this. So I kept telling her, like, I'm really going to be sick. I really need to go. And she was like, we'll have the office call your mom and have her bring you some Pepto. Like, she was like really trying. I don't listen, listeners who are teachers.
What a cunt.
What happens to you guys sometimes that you talk to kids this way?
I think kids.
I want some write-ins.
There has to be some kid who's like, I have to go to the bathroom, and then they leave and they pour gasoline all around the building and set it on fire or something.
There seem to be
something had to happen.
There seem to be these weird sadistic streaks sometimes, and I'd like to understand where it comes from.
Well, I like to think that some people are just shitty.
Yeah, but I
think you just get hardened.
Well, I don't know, but
shitty kids that did something, lied to you, and then you can't even tell when somebody's being real.
Well, it sounds like she took joy in it.
She's a real piece of shit.
Yeah, she
by
sounds like
withholding this stuff from you.
And
did she have joy in having to clean up your vomit?
I have no idea because I didn't have to look at her again because
They had to sawdust the whole thing.
She calls the office and tells them to have my mom bring me Pepto.
After you've thrown up?
No, before.
Oh, okay.
And my mom already told me, she was like, I was just going to come and get you. I wasn't going to do that. So I threw up as my mom is in transit. And then she's like, okay, go to the nurse's office. And my mom called back the next day and threw a fucking fit because she was that kind of mom. She would fucking take those people on. And I didn't have to reserve that in school because they said she should have let me go.
You commuted your sentence.
That's right.
I like how you said you wanted to throw up on her desk.
I tried to.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
You have to.
I had a teacher take
feeling.
a Spider-Man comic from me and tear it in half.
No, that was
my
me.
face. No, that happened to me too.
That happened to you too?
Yeah. Did that happen to you?
Same teacher?
Mr. Windhorst, my
mine
history
was,
teacher.
an English teacher.
Oh.
What was her name?
I thought for a second that you thought, you know how sometimes somebody will
Oh,
tell a
yeah,
story
yeah,
and
where
you
you
think it's
conflate.
yours. I've done that.
I was so, I know I turned probably 3 shades of purple. I was so mad. It was, what was her name? I know her first name was Diane for some reason.
That's so weird. We have a lot of shared experience.
Yeah. And I when you said, I was thinking that if it was the same teacher, I would have been, well, I guess maybe that's the best practice they share with each other.
Right? If it's a
Teacher's
Spider-Man
lounge, they're
If you get
talking.
a comic, don't just take it from the kid. Destroy it in front of them.
This was actually really sad too because it wasn't a comic, it was a poster book. I was a pariah in middle school. No one wanted to be my friend. And like a few comic book people would trade with me, but then they like make fun of me if anyone came around. But there was this kid who was real nice to me, Peter Link. I'm sure you're not listening, Peter, but if you are, you were a good dude. And everybody knew I really loved the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man stuff, and that I didn't celebrate Christmas. It was Christmas time, and he gave me this book of Spider-Man posters. Like it was like a whole
That is so sweet.
Spider-Man
That is
poster
sweet.
book.
Wow.
And I wasn't even reading it. I just had it on top of my books in my history class. And Mr. Windhorst, that big fat fuck, the only thing I can be happy about is I know he's dead now. I know he is. And I'm glad. And I was just sitting there and he walks over to my desk real dramatically and he goes, he reaches down and he swipes it off of my desk. This is what I mean by how do people get this way?
Yeah.
He walks slowly back up to the front of the class, holds it up, and tears it in like half, and then again, and then drops it in the can.
That's exactly what she did. She tore
Christ.
it right down the middle,
Yeah.
like the cover, like in two, and in the garbage. It was Spider-Man too. That's so funny.
It is.
Do teachers hate Spider-Man?
So again, if you're a teacher out there, can you explain to me this kind of
So friendly neighborhood.
If it was the X-Men or Superman, they would have let it slide.
Is there some kind of teacher conference where they're like, by the way, if your kids have Spider-Man out, it causes it causes masturbation and school shooting. So make sure you absolutely destroy it. So you send the message to them that masturbating and shooting up schools is not cool.
Oh,
this
that
was before school shootings were a big real thing.
That teacher you're talking about did die.
Mr. Windhorst?
Yeah, it
Good,
says
fuck
here
him.
that he was. They were moving this new comic book store open, and they were using a hoist to lift crates of Spider-Man comics into it. And one of them fell on him,
Yeah.
crushed him.
Well,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's ironic.
It is ironic. That's another thing, man.
Yeah,
Hey, a
what
lot
are the
of
odds of that?
Well, if you're naming names, I want to name that mean teacher in 6th grade that I was afraid to talk to. It's Ms. Serio.
Serio?
Yeah, Serio.
Serio?
I took joy in the fact that she was divorced and she talked about it constantly
Yeah,
because she was mean.
she died too.
No, I just want to say, like, if you're naming
she
names,
did die.
Did she die?
What's it say?
Oh,
Yeah, she
Did she?
He's reading it right now.
Is it about shit? Did
yeah,
get-
she shit herself to death. She died from shitting.
It was dysentery.
Me and Kelley got justice.
We did.
Right here. See,
We got main justice.
during Desert Storm.
Yep. She got called up.
Well, it's funny because Desert Storm was going around like on the
Just
same.
going around.
It was going around.
Everybody was catching Desert Storm.
Rose tested positive.
It
for
was going
Desert Storm.
on while I was shitting my pants.
Enduring freedom.
Everybody was shitting their pants.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. I think we feel a deep connection to each other now.
Yeah,
Ready to
that's
maybe
all around.
ready to move on.
Listeners, share your evil middle school teacher.
I wouldn't mind
bullshit.
hearing some evil teacher stories. Those are good.
What if you're the evil teacher?
I want to hear if you are an evil teacher. I want you to tell
If
me
you're
why.
an evil teacher,
Tell us your feelings about Spider-Man.
Yeah, right?
I had this teacher that
Do you remember what issue it was, Freddie?
What?
Do you remember what issue
Oh,
it was?
no, I don't remember.
I'm sorry I said that was me. Like,
No, that's just so funny, though.
Because I just was like, oh, he must have heard me tell this. That is crazy.
It is weird. Like, but that does happen, though.
It does happen.
People will hear,
I've done it for
false
sure.
memory is like a real thing. For all I know, it didn't happen.
Michelle remembers you guys started the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
False memories. Fake news.
Yeah.
All right.
Deepfake.
I totally forgot.
AI is going to make a video of that happening. We're not going to know if it was real or not.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back.
Hello, boys and girls. It's time for Straight-to-Video Russian Roulette.
It's my dad. He's been acting really strange. It's like he's a different person.
Everything's fine, Kayla.
What happened?
Something bit me.
Can I help you, boys?
Either the entire town's going crazy or we are. Maybe it's like mass hysteria or something. Zach? What is it? What the hell? Mom? What the hell are they? I don't know. Here's what we do know. First they bite you. No! And then they turn into you.
You're not my mom. I want to go with Kayla. We need to get Joey.
We get Joey and get our footage uploaded. Once people see what's going on here, they'll send people to help.
Alrighty.
Andy. During the break, we were talking about if David Lynch made the Mandalorian, that Baby Yoda would be that horrific dead goat thing from
the squalling baby.
The squalling baby from.
You think we'll catch on like Baby Yoda has?
I hope so.
I think definitely people would be 3D printing it.
So many memes about him.
No.
Mandalorian will give him a ball and he'll just like squish it into some opening on his face.
And like blood and pus would come pouring out of it.
He would assimilate it.
Yeah.
Oh. Oof.
Andy, tell us about Assimilate.
I'm oofing about the movie, not your joke. That was a good joke.
Thank you.
Just oof.
Oof.
Not good, huh?
Oof.
Oofy oof.
I will say, the director bought a drone and he loves it.
Oh.
That's how I felt about that one. The one that I talked about a couple weeks ago. Clearly loved those aerial shots.
It's like he just got it and like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'm going to make every shot a drone shot.
I feel like that's happening with these independent people. Like it really does seem to be a lot of those long aerial shots. I totally get it.
So the premise is these two high schoolers, they live in this real small town, and their little small town just gets taken over by these replicant thingies, aliens, I guess, and they have their own YouTube show.
The aliens?
Yeah.
Or these people.
Hi guys, like and subscribe.
Need you to smash those buttons.
Share with all your friends. No, there's the two teenagers, and that was the only good part of the whole movie. Like the teenagers were likable,
yeah,
but not enough for me to root for them.
Sure,
I wanted them to have a demise, and. The thing about these alien replicants, they're not very good at taking over this town.
No.
It's very convoluted the way they go about it.
So this is like an invasion of the body snatcher situation?
So these aliens, they have these little fast creature thingies. They like look like those things from Cloverfield that drop down but real tiny.
This actually sounds like these people read the Robert McCammon book Stinger and like ripped off a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool.
Which was a ripoff of Puppet Masters anyway.
Yeah.
These fast moving things, those scare me. Tiny fast things scare me, don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad you only do the marathon in like
I'm not as
4
funny.
hours.
Yeah.
You're tiny.
But they're hard,
you ain't fast.
But tiny fast things are just so hard to catch.
Yeah.
And they'll get you.
Like big spiders.
Yeah.
But they're still small.
So I just went, see, these tiny fast things, they bite you, right? And get your DNA. And then I guess they lay a pod somewhere. And that's where your replicant comes out. And then your replicant has to come up to you and suck your memories out. It's just a very convoluted way of going about it. I'm just saying. And they're not very good at it because these teenagers, they kind of like glomp, they figure out what's going on, and all the alien people that have been replicated already, they could easily just grab them and say, hey, we're going to replicate you, but they just let them go about their business.
Do they talk about it on their YouTube show?
That's another convoluted thing. These aliens, once they've taken over the town, right? They cut down all information, like communications outside to get out and everything. So these teenagers,
just like Under the Dome,
their big plan is to, they recorded some footage of these weird things going on, and to warn everybody else what's going on, they need to get to a computer and upload this footage on YouTube so people can find out what's going on.
They don't have phones?
I guess not. I guess they need the hits on their page for YouTube. That's more important than just calling the police once you get out.
No, I mean, they couldn't upload it from their phones?
Well, because they cut off Wi-Fi and stuff.
Ah, well, how are they going to get to a computer?
Their LTE is it's not so good.
Yeah. Their plan is to just drive to a bigger city where there is Wi-Fi.
Oh, well, then they should just stay there and not worry about it.
But it's, you know what
just
I'm
get
saying?
replicated.
And these guys, their YouTube page has like 5 subscribers. So how are you going to get this information out when nobody's watching your page?
Right?
Maybe one of them's an influencer.
Nobody's going to start believing in
viewers.
aliens invading and replicating from
YouTube,
YouTuber.
right?
Well, I do love this trope in almost any of these movies where someone's like, we have to tell everyone, like, what, and then what?
Yeah.
You think they're going to be like, oh shit, are you serious? And then everybody's going to be like,
that 16-year-old
shut the fuck up. What are you
with a monetized YouTube channel said
that aliens have replicated everyone in their town. You can't tell that they look or act any differently.
Like, we're never going to be able to believe it because of the deep fake shit.
I know. It's like monsters. Like, they should have just written a crayon letter and sent it to the army and tell them that monsters are there.
Up
Mommy
first,
came in my house.
Unboxing the new Google Pixel. Then some really exciting news. We're being replaced by aliens.
And the funny thing is, their warning was an ASMR.
Stick around.
They're like, be careful, guys.
Yeah.
There's aliens out there. And now I'm going to eat some popcorn.
This sounds dumb.
Yeah, it is a dumb movie.
All right.
I can't.
No,
I'm
I'm
glad
fine.
that.
You saved.
But it has people in it. You know the main girl from the new Halloween?
Yeah.
Blink, blink.
It's her. She's in it.
Okay.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
She's real She's slumming, guys.
She plays a teenager.
And we see her boobies at least.
Oh, okay. Fun.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Not
The new
Jamie Lee
Halloween.
Curtis. Yeah.
Her daughter?
Yeah, the teenage daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, Judy Greer's daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a person.
Sweet.
She was apparently in it.
Yeah.
All right.
And how come in all these replicate movies they don't run when they replicate? They're just always like slow walking all the time.
I think someone told them that slow moving things are scary.
But we just discussed fast moving.
The one you're talking about, the actor is Andy Matichak. Andy Matichak.
Oh, yeah.
Matichak.
Okay.
He sounds like a detective from a 70s show.
Yeah, it does.
Matichak, get in my office.
And Christina Aguilera's love interest from Burlesque was in this too.
No way. That guy.
I know you barely remember him.
I do barely remember.
But he looked like
Glorb Jonzo.
Glorb Jonzo was in this.
Glorb.
He was so good in Burlesque and in Assimilate. But it's like one of those movies where you get bored, so you're just on your phone. So I just went to IMDb, like, hey, they look familiar.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
And one of the teenagers was on American Vandal season 1. It's always fun to see people.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Okay, cool.
Well, avoid that, listeners.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. But
Watch Pen 15 instead.
It brought to mind this idea that if something were to really be happening and the teenagers were the only ones that noticed, we're never going to believe them.
No, we're not. Now, Stinger, the replicants were pretty cool because they weren't real replicants. Like, if you saw, like, they had, like, they were part robot, and they had scorpion tails and metal teeth.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
you could spot those from a mile away.
And they weren't really trying to take over the town. They were trying to catch this other... It was an alien bounty hunter trying to catch another alien that landed in this small town. That was way cooler.
Yeah. So here's something fun, Andy.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
This is the thought I had during watching the movie. If they really wanted to get the information out, shouldn't they go on TikTok? Don't people use that more?
Yeah, they should.
TikTok.
Oh, no, I feel like Twitter is where you do real discussion.
I feel like Reddit will be where we actually get the real
the true story.
Yeah,
you get the deal.
But then someone else is going to have sources to say that it is absolutely not that, and then someone is going to be like, it absolutely is, and they're going to have a source war, and then no one's ever going to know the truth because everyone thinks they know what they're fucking talking about on Reddit.
So, like, if I knew alien replicants were out there, I should get on Twitter.
Yeah, and you just start tweeting at like a Kardashian or whatever to get them to
but would they
get their attention.
But I haven't used my Twitter
Retweet.
in years, so would they like be weirded out that I haven't used it for a while? They're like,
Maybe.
what's going on?
Oh, you're just still an egg.
Or do I need to get like a Snapchat
this egg
or
says we're in
TikTok?
trouble. Hey, Andy, this director made a movie called Killer Contractor that came out this year too. Killer Contractor. And the description is Carrie and her daughter Ella try to settle the estate of her late father. However, the contractor they hire brings with him a series of lethal mishaps.
It's just a true story.
Killer Contractor. That's a bad title, right?
It is. It sounds like
a Neil Breen movie.
Or a trauma movie. Like, I feel like you guys should have a tool belt with like a bunch of butchers knives.
Well, I'd watch a trauma movie called Killer Contractor.
This one is very seriously. It kind of looks like a Lifetime movie.
All right.
I mean, it's kind of like calling like Nightmare on Elm Street like Knife Hands or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or Bad Janitor.
Bad Janitor.
Maybe this guy just buys up like the most horror related
It is a Lifetime
Hallmark.
movie.
Yeah, there you go.
It is. I went to look at the pictures from the movie, and it says Premiere Movie Lifetime in the corner.
So that makes it a little more palpable. But if it's a
Palpable?
Lifetime,
Palatable.
Palatable.
Palatable. All right.
Palpatine?
Let's palpate this thing. All right. So thank you, Andy.
Oof.
Let's see who's going to watch the movie for next week. Let's crank it. Up first is me.
You're up first?
Yeah.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Except for me hitting the wrong button at first. That was correct. You are correct. You lost. You're a loser.
Ooh.
I'm going to watch a Christmas anthology movie called All the Creatures Were Stirring.
I saw that. That was advertised to me today.
Is that the one Rebecca McKendry directed? Oh, okay. Cool.
It's on the Shudder.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, no!
Oh, no!
The joyful spirit of the holidays is about to take one dark turn after another, from sadistic office parties and last-minute shopping nightmares to vengeful stalkers and immortal demons. There's plenty out there to keep you from getting out of bed to see what's under the tree this holiday season. Constance Wu and Jonathan Kite headline a sensational ensemble cast in this devilish stocking stuffer of a movie.
Catch a hoe, then another hoe. Merry Christmas.
Directed by fellow horror podcaster Becky McKendry.
So I will review that. I will stuff your stocking with that review next week.
It's going to be so sexy.
Santa Claus is coming to
He's
town
coming
to tell
down
you
your chimney.
about
You're like,
this
what's all this
movie?"
stuff in the fireplace? Oh, Santa came down and came in the chimney.
Gross.
I'm gonna wrap your present if you
Put
know
the fire out.
what I mean.
It's either a really small fire or a lot of cum.
It tastes like peppermint.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
man-killing vine with a human brain that creeps and kills. The terrifying horror of the dead, entombed for 200 years, that creeps its way back to terrorize the living. The terrifying horror of a dreaded man called Dr. Terror, who, with his deck of mystic cards, could foretell destiny. Dr. Terror's House of Horrors.
Whoa!
So, that was me being late on bringing up faders. Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. This is the 1965 film. I didn't know there was another movie by the same title released in 1943, also an anthology film. Which I literally just discovered while I was talking.
This is the one that is in color with a bearded Peter Cushing.
That's right. This is directed by Freddie Francis.
Snooty little fucking Christopher Lee.
I loved him. I love that he was using it like he was acting.
Yeah.
He was doing a different voice. Fucking Donald Sutherland looking like Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
Those Sutherland genes are strong, huh?
Right?
He looks just like Kiefer.
Nothing comes between me and my Sutherlands.
He did look exactly like
Their
that.
eyes are the same.
It's the mouth for me.
It's the mouth and the eyes.
Yes.
Is that
It's their faces.
The
what you're
mouth.
saying.
Hair.
Yeah.
I bet you they got similar like toes.
Dicks.
Oh.
If you
Their shoulders are the
just
same.
compare them dick to dick, you can't tell who's who.
Do like just by looking at it, or you hit the feel too?
Both. You won't know.
It's like looking in a flaccid mirror.
Kiefer's a little more rigid just because he's younger, but
I thought this was a delight of a movie.
it was
I
fun.
love this movie.
It was goofy, but it was fun.
It's very goofy.
I laughed my ass off, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a very funny movie for sure.
It's an anthology
This
film.
was it's an anthology written by Milton Subotsky, who worked with Stephen King in the 80s on he was a producer on Maximum Overdrive and stuff. Yeah,
sure.
He also the director of this was a cinematographer on The Elephant Man, the David Lynch movie.
John Hurt.
Comes full circle. See?
William Hurt, not John Hurt.
And yeah, so Dr. Shrek. Shrek means terror.
Donkey.
Donkey.
Which is funny because the guy who played Nosferatu is named Max Shrek.
That's right.
And then
As a maximum terror.
And then Christopher Walken played a character named Max Shrek in Batman Returns as a shout out to that actor.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that was a stage name now.
Yeah, I think it was.
Isn't that amazing?
Almost certain. Yeah, so Dr. Terry, I feel like almost an unrecognizable.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Between the beard and the eyebrows, you couldn't tell it was Peter Cushing.
Yeah. Looked real different. Also, it's kind of a flip for the two of them because
it was.
Usually Christopher Lee is the villain or monster and Cushing is kind of the more heroic character.
Yeah.
But there are no heroes in this movie.
Nope.
Because they're all these guys with kind of screwed up morality because you have to have
nobody
the
really
tale.
deserved, except maybe the musician guy.
The trumpeter?
Yeah.
That little weasel.
Christopher Lee, but those other people would just walk into these situations they had no control over.
No, Christopher Lee's character was
him and the musician guy maybe kind of deserved it.
The other two were just guys.
Yeah.
So the wraparound, they're on the train, commuter train, I think, it seems.
Heading from London to
They're definitely commuting somewhere.
Bombs.
Yep, Bershon bombs.
Burmbundings.
And you have 5 young men, right? Is it 5 or were there 5 of them plus Dr. Terror?
Yes.
Is that right?
There's 6 people in this tiny car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are all these guys commuting to here or there, and the last one to join them is Dr. Shrek.
Mm-hmm.
And he has tarot cards with them.
The tarot.
Which is our framing device, where he tells them that he can tell their future, and then he will tell them how they can avoid that future.
If they can.
Yeah, and how they will.
If they can.
So these 4 cards will show you your destiny. The 5th card will say whether or not you can change it.
It's a shame Mike couldn't be here for this.
I know, he's the tarot master.
He reads tarot.
So the first dude up is
Jim.
And Jim is an architect.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Jim is an architect. I remember that Primus song.
Jim is an architect. Yep.
And he goes back to his family's ancestral home. So Dr. Shrek pulls the cards, and then we bleed into the story. This is what is coming up for Jim.
Yeah. This is Werewolf is the name of it.
Yeah, and
Spoiler alert.
Jim goes back to his old family ancestral home. Somebody else owns it now, but she wants to do some architecture to it.
Yeah. By the way, I guessed real quick, like kind of what was going to happen. I didn't realize it was called Werewolf.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about the werewolf, but
But you guessed he was.
No.
Like, that guy's an architect.
I said
he's going to do architecture.
I'm a little off. I said what's going to happen is this lady's going to be a witch, and her ancestors were wronged by this dude's ancestors, and they've got him here now to fucking get revenge. And that is
it's close.
Basically, she is kind of witchy.
She is being. I guess they're all being used by the dead guy in the basement, who was a werewolf.
What was her husband?
Is that? Oh, that was her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he's been dead a long time. And the legend was that he would come back and take over his house again from the people who had taken it from him. And he's a goddamn werewolf.
And she had hidden, or somebody had hidden, this vault behind plaster.
Yeah, the dead guy in the basement.
What I'm saying is that they were hiding it. Like when he came in, it makes you wonder, like, okay, what's the plan here on the people who know there's a werewolf in this?
She's trying to bring him back like that. Yeah. That was the whole thing. I think she moved him in there because he said the plaster was new.
Yeah.
So I think the whole idea was he will come back to life when this other ancestor comes back. So she gets that guy out here and she's put him in this room now to prepare for his grand
Or he's going to take
return.
over this dude's body.
Maybe.
Yeah, that was the point. But like, I think Freddy's saying, why even plaster up the?
Well, that's a good point.
Like, why'd she hide? Yeah, why'd they
so
hide
that
it?
they
And who
could
was the
smash
werewolf?
through it.
It was the husband,
the dead guy.
Yeah, the lady's husband.
The what he was trying to do is not even really related to being a werewolf.
Yeah, he was trying to like take over his body, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know werewolves did that.
He needed like a vessel.
But then she was a big bad monster.
She was maybe also I'm not exactly sure.
Something.
She was witchy.
She was a werewolf at the end.
Yeah, she had claws, but also she was wolfy, but also witchy. I'm holding on to witch because I said it.
Apparently, putting him in that coffin will bring the werewolf back to life. I just looked it up.
Okay.
So, like, if she puts the
On
architect in the
occultism.com.
coffin, it's under werewolf.
You put the lime in the coconut.
Yeah, he needed a new body so
Yeah.
he can be reincarnated, kind of. Right?
Sure.
It's
I
a
don't know if he
singularity.
gets the body. I think
That is such a that old werewolf chestnut. Mm-hmm. He was just stupid, but it was fun.
You know what? My favorite part is like he didn't question that I was a werewolf at all.
No, well, that was the great
like-
thing about all of these.
there-
They
there
just
was
jumped right to it.
Well, speed was of the essence.
There's like no.
They had 6 stories or 5 stories to get through.
Nobody was incredulous about what could have been going on. They just went straight to vampire, werewolf,
Killer plant.
Yeah, because like normally, like it was like, no, it can't be at all.
Yeah, there's a convincing period.
And he just like he sees the silver crucifix on the wall. It's like, I need to melt that down. I need bullets. It's a werewolf. There's no other possibility.
Yeah, I also love the misdirection of like the servant girl. You think that she's going to be some kind of plot point.
Yeah.
And she just dies.
Yeah. Well, the reveal at the end is pretty good where he thinks he's melted down the silver crucifix and he goes to shoot her.
Yeah.
And she's like, you mean these silver bullets?
That was great.
Yeah.
No, I just met the servant girl at the beginning who dies. I thought she was gonna be something.
Yeah.
And she isn't.
Just a dead servant.
She's just a dead servant.
Another dead servant littering my foyer.
I love that Midnight Oil song. Just another dead servant.
I know what she wanted him to do was to knock out that wall to make a larger room. But I was like, there's a giant ass fireplace in there. And he's like, yeah, we can totally do that. And I'm like, I think this would be difficult.
I think we need
But
to
I'm not an architect.
I like to say that what she was really looking for was an interior designer, not an architect.
Right.
We need to move on so we can get Kelley out on time.
Oh, yes.
Creeping Vine is the next story.
This was terrible.
This was
the worst
hilarious,
one.
though.
It was so bad.
It was barely
It's
a story.
weird because they come home from vacation, right? And there's a vine. This vine is growing.
Yeah.
And do they call in the Ministry of Defense guys because it eats kills the dog, or does that happen after?
They go to first. It avoids being cut.
That's what it was.
Can I tell you, this was hilarious because right before it happened, I started to say, won't it be great if he cuts into it and it's like, ow! And then that happens.
Well, he said he heard a scream, and then he gets these shears, and they knock the shears out, And I was like, oh shit, that plant's not fucking around.
It's a sassy plant.
I was like,
it's a sassy frass plant.
That plant was like, fuck that.
So then he calls in his scientist bros.
Yeah.
And they come hang out at the house and study it.
Their science is...
They're immediately like, sure, okay, we'll come by.
Yeah.
Also, their science is humongously... They're like, no, it's impossible. The plant doesn't protect itself.
Turns out. But then they were talking about Venus flytraps in the beginning, too.
Exactly. Like, they're like, why is me and Alise both said, like, they're not even trying. Like,
yeah.
But there was a slideshow. It was so cute.
It was cute. You learned about carnivorous plants.
He was educating the man on, like, what's going on in the plant world.
While the scientists are there, it kills the dog because the dog got too close.
Yeah.
It was digging around. And then one day it kills one of the scientists.
And then it just wraps around the house.
It sneaks behind him. It's real slow and careful. And then all of a sudden it's like,
do yourself a favor, listener. If you should watch this movie for sure, but if you don't, please just try to YouTube the scene where the plant comes in the window behind the guy. It's tremendous.
And then it like surrounds the house. And so they're trapped in there with one of the scientist guys. And he's like staring out the window and lighting a cigarette. And the vines on the other side of the window are like, ooh, fire. And they like move. And he's like, I got it.
But I have to say, though, the vine special effects were kind of cool, right?
You understand that it was like just like
it was just like they went to Michael's and bought some fake plants.
I couldn't. They moved in a way where it was like, wow, they could do that back then.
Well, because Christopher Lee was standing behind the camera, like holding it on a stick.
I know it was probably on like some fishing wire, but I thought it was kind of charming where the plants would just like look around like,
It was cute. It was hilarious for sure.
I just love how this ends, right? So the guy's like, oh, fire. So I'm going to create a torch and I'm going to leave and go get help. And literally he just like torch, the vines let him out. And then the dad in the house just closes the door and here's the car drive away. And they're like, all right, done.
Instead of all trying. And then the plant finds a hole in the house and gets in.
It's like, whatever.
Oh, we forgot to mention, like, the plants cut the telephone cord.
Oh, yeah, that was my favorite part in this one.
Like, they knew that was how they communicated with the outside world. Like, they're deadly and smart.
And they show it, like, the vine goes up to the phone cord, it's like, snip. I'm like, that is a sharp vine.
It was so cute.
It was super cute.
Yeah,
Andy.
Definitely. The next segment was called Voodoo. I really like this one.
This one was definitely probably the strongest.
This had good music.
Yeah,
the music was really good too. So Biff Bailey and his band
of white guys,
the
whitest jazz band that ever existed.
He was so fun though. He was just always swinging and snapping.
I mean, that was a real thing though. Really, I mean, there was a lot of like all white jazz bands in the 60s.
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of appropriation, and that's really what this is all about.
It is all about appropriation. It's a progressive horror story.
Yeah. He goes to the...
Plus, he seemed like... You don't see too... he seemed like a skeezy kind of guy. Like, he wanted to touch some...
I felt like he was just enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought he was real enthusiastic about...
I
don't know.
Seeing girls that were like scantily clad.
Oh, well, yeah.
Which they weren't, by the way. I was like, is that what you consider hardly dressed? Because they got dresses that go all the way to the ground.
And for a guy who's a band leader, he has some weird, janky ass rhythm when he's like dancing and stuff. It's kind of like, hey, I don't know what a beat is.
Yeah, well, he's British.
Yeah. So his band gets hired to perform in the West Indies at this. I don't even know if you'd call it a resort because it seems like it's filled with native people.
Yeah, it's just like in the West Indies.
Yeah.
It's a place.
And so it's the Caribbean, the cradle of voodoo. Mm-hmm. And they perform and they hook up with a musician who they think is a local because he kind of looks like the locals.
Because he's black.
He's black.
And he's like, no, man, I'm from London too. He's like, but I kind of know.
He's like, no, man.
He's the bridge to be like, hey, don't fuck with this stuff. He's that guy. He's the warning.
Yeah.
You know,
there's some like proto reggae music going on.
Yeah.
It's like, try not to appropriate while you're here.
Yeah. I love that there's this like talisman that all the people are wearing of this like demon god. And it's a really cool looking.
It is really
it's
cool.
very Dungeons and Dragons.
And our pal gets real handsy with one of them and is like, "What the fuck is this stupid thing? Are you stupid?"
Yeah, he screws up.
You're so stupid. Everybody's pretty chill about it, but then they tell him about the voodoo shit that's going on. They're like, there's girls dancing and there's rhythms. Yeah.
There's all kinds of rhythms. And then he does like a whole Paul Simon Graceland thing and goes and spies on them and tries to transcribe what they're doing so he can acquire it to perform
and make money
off.
I do love like as they keep going back to him, you see the other like people standing behind him, like, and he has no clue.
That's Scooby-Doo as hell, or Gilligan's Island.
Well, it started off as like one guy,
and then two guys,
and then it cuts him away, like, and it comes back and there's two guys and there's three guys.
It was fucking hilarious. You thought they were gonna kill him and then they just kick him out, and they're like, "Don't do this."
I just waited for him to be like, "They're right behind me, aren't they?" It was one of those moments.
Yeah.
And then they warn him. They warn him once.
Yeah. They're like, "Don't steal the god's music."
Right. And they're like, no, this is a religious ceremony. It's not entertainment.
Yeah.
And he doesn't listen. And
Freddie made a joke when we were watching it. He's like, this is what I read Paul Simon did.
Yeah.
For Graceland.
He's like, I'm going to
in the
Graceland.
bushes.
Lady Black Mumbazo.
Yeah.
So he goes back to his home club in London.
Makes a real tacky floor show.
Yeah, I love this. This reminded me actually of like this Call of Cthulhu adventure that I always really liked about this guy, this trumpeter who made a deal with Nyarlathotep.
Ah, yes.
It was real similar. And anyways, as they played his arrangement of this, which was really cool, this ghostly wind blows in. I love this whole segment.
This was I do too. I enjoyed this one the best out of all of them.
Yeah, it blows all the tablecloths off.
That Exotica, like Martin Denny and all that stuff. And I understand it's problematic, but I enjoy the music.
Yeah, well, I thought they were trying to, like you said, it was about not taking that from people.
Yeah.
There's somehow a decent message buried under that.
Yeah.
They come in, a guy comes and takes the music from him in the end.
Yeah, well, I love his walk back to his apartment too, where he's on the streets. There's a wind blowing.
Oh yeah.
There's nobody else on the streets. He's walking home. Yeah, and these Americans drive by looking for Piccadilly Circus, and those are the only people he sees.
He mentioned that black guy.
Which really
the one who needs a light.
Yeah, and then he was freaked out because like, oh no, they're coming to get me.
And when he gets back to his groovy apartment, which I really like too, that whole sequence is it's very spooky. It's probably one of the only truly spooky moments in this movie, which is otherwise is a very silly movie, but it's so good.
But it's a very underwhelming demise for him, right?
Well, he doesn't.
He just kind of passes out.
Yeah.
Does he? I thought does he die or just pass out?
Well, I think the insinuation is when you get to the wraparound at the end that they are all dead.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
So the next one is Disembodied Hand, which is about, this is Christopher Lee's character who has been the biggest jerk of everybody on the train, where he's poo-pooing Dr. Terror to his face.
He's a real bitch.
He's being a real bitch.
You know, he doesn't want anybody to ever have fun. He's also an art critic who's real mean.
He's a horrible art critic. He has like these, almost like these Mean Girl clique that follows him around the art gallery. Yeah. And they're like, oh, go on. Oh, you slay us. And he's bitching about this guy's, this artist's paintings.
To his face.
And he's just saying like,
say it to my face.
Just these horrible things. I mean, like, it's just really, really mean.
Yeah.
But I love that the artist and his assistant, they're like, well, we got this new piece we want to show you. And he's like, this is art.
It's from a new artist.
Color. Yeah, this new young artist.
And Chris Reeve's like, this is the best thing I've ever fucking seen in my life. Look at this. Look at that.
Yeah. And they're like, do you want to meet the artist? He's here. He's like, yeah, bring him out. He comes out and it's a chimpanzee.
Yeah. And he feels so embarrassed because they got his fucking geet.
I love to think that they planned all this to punk him.
I do. I think they did.
And you're kind of like, they had a chimp into the art gallery on the chance that he would come by to bitch about this guy.
It belonged to Andy. They borrowed it from Andy Warhol's
chimp.
The Zongoglobogians.
But the artist like follows him around and taunts him after the fact. My favorite part of the whole movie was after like Christopher Lee is like giving this speech. And the artist that set him up with a chimpanzee, he's doing like cutting paper dolls out.
Yeah.
In the shape of monkeys. And he just holds it in front of Christopher Lee. And Christopher Lee gets like laughed off the stage.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that is cold-blooded.
So Chris really can't take it anymore. And he sees the artist in the street and he mows him down.
Yeah.
He drives over his hand and he has to have his hand amputated. So the hand comes back for Christopher Lee to get revenge. Do you remember the Michael Caine movie, The Hand?
Alise brought that up. Yeah, she said this is exactly like a Michael Caine movie called The Hand. I've never seen it or heard of it.
Yeah, I have it. If you ever want to watch it, it's really fun. He's like, I think he was a comic book artist in that, and his hand is cut off.
But it was a real, like, again, just like Spot, you could step on it. Christopher Lee never thinks to do that, really.
Well,
he just lets it climb up him. And
he tries to burn it. He tries to put it in a box, tie it up, and throw it in the river.
It is a badass hand. He burns the shit out of it and it comes back.
I was going to say, I have to give this hand a hand.
Oh.
Because he was just so persistent in pursuing Christopher Lee.
That's true.
She persisted.
After being like burned and then put in a box and thrown in the river, this hand still comes back and gets him.
His hand ain't fucking around.
And the hand comes for him when he's driving. Bob's your uncle. Now Christopher Lee's been in an accident and he's blind.
Oh.
So his thing was taken from him.
Because you don't have text-to-speech back then.
Makes the whole world blind.
Text.
This is true.
So I guess that matters. But although when you type, you don't necessarily have to see.
Now, one thing we haven't mentioned is...
oh, you can't see the art. That's why it's a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, you can still write articles.
Dr. Shrek has been pulling the fifth card after each story.
Yeah.
And everybody keeps getting death.
But they still haven't put it together.
They're like, wait, come on.
No. What does that mean?
So now we finally get to Mr. Donald Sutherland. Oh. And this is the silliest story.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the Vine is the dumbest. This is the silliest.
This is just Dracula with a lady and...
It's called The Vampire.
Yeah.
Donald Sutherland is bringing his new wife home to America. She's French or some shit. And he's like, check out the house. I'll go get us some beans to eat. And he cuts his finger and she's like, let me take care of that.
You remember those janky, those can openers that I've only ever seen them like in cartoons.
I think he was using a screwdriver.
They had those old can openers where you jab it in the top and then you'd crank.
Oh yeah,
it was one hand cranking thing.
You got to jab and crank.
Yeah, it's the old jab and crank. And I've only ever seen I've never seen a real human being successfully use one, and I probably could. I'm sure there's videos. Of
oh, you mean the ones with like the pointy end?
Yeah,
and
it's weird, right?
I think we owned one of those when I was a kid, but never used it because
cans, like aluminum cans are they aluminum? Yeah.
Back then they might have been 10. Who
they're
knows?
Dangerous.
They're lead.
Like opening them. Like he cuts himself. I cut myself. I had 7 stitches in my thumb. Because I fucked up opening a can. So just be careful.
That's more stitches than I got when I cut my finger with the kachunker.
The kachunker?
You know.
Paper cutter.
Thank you.
Yeah. Or a kachunker. So you're like, oh, this lady's a vampire.
Yeah.
And then he's a doctor, get it? And he's hanging and he's working with this other doctor in town.
Yeah, and there's
who jumps straight to vampire.
There's a kid patient that's got 2 little puncture marks on his neck and he doesn't have a lot of blood.
This is all super Dracula right here.
Yeah. And the doctor's like, you know what this could be. And Donald Sutherland's like, for real? And then he's like, yeah. And then like 10 seconds later, oh, it's probably my wife. You know what you should do? Get a steak. Like it's just
the whole time he's telling this, he's whittling a steak for him.
I love it. I wanted what to happen was after he stakes his wife, spoiler alert, which he does. I wanted him to call his buddy, and his buddy would be like, I was just fucking around with you, man. You didn't really do that, did you?
Like it gets to the point where,
and it does kind of do that a little bit.
You see the wife like turning into a bat. Like it's very clear she's a goddamn vampire.
It's the cutest little bat, though.
It is.
Yeah.
It's adorable. Like so non-threatening.
And the doctor that Donald Sutherland is working with, like he's trying to kill the vampire, but spoiler twist alert. The vampire gets to the doctor. So then when Donald Sutherland stakes his wife and he's trying to tell the cops she was a vampire. Dr. Blake comes in and he goes, what the fuck are you talking about? There ain't no such thing. But he's a vampire.
He's a vampire.
And his line at the end is like, there's only room in this town
for one doctor.
For one doctor and one vampire.
Yeah, I love that.
It's like, that is so petty. I love it.
Sassafras.
I'm going to set these guys up just so I can be the only doctor and the only vampire.
It's a good plan.
So then you get the end of the wraparound where all of them, the fifth card has been death for all of them. That's how you get out of this.
Mm-hmm. And even for Dr. Shrek.
Well, yeah, he is death, though.
But he is death.
And I would have because I was thinking, couldn't the jazz guy, now that he knows it's going to happen, couldn't he just decide not to do that? Why?
But too late.
The only way out.
He's already dead.
Yeah.
They were dead the whole time. So
when did they die?
I don't know.
Those things probably happened to them. Yeah, the train crashed.
Yeah, so that's when they get to the final stop, which is a really cool. I love this set piece. It's very artificial, but it's clearly a soundstage with a painting to insinuate that there's something off in the distance, and this is the train station, and blah blah blah. But then this newspaper headline, it floats down.
Well, an actual newspaper with a headline, not just the headline.
I think people figured it out. Yeah,
no, I don't like the way you said it.
The newspaper floats down. The front page of this newspaper floats down like Forrest Gumpian, like the feather. And they catch it, and it says 5 killed in train crash. And then they cut back to Dr. Terror, and he's a skeleton.
He's a skeleton.
He's just a scary skull.
I wish he still had the eyebrows on, though.
Yeah.
And the beard.
Those cheekbones, though.
Yeah.
You know, the funny part is his cheekbones were less prominent as a skeleton than they were in real life. Let's flesh on it.
Why any of it then? If they were going to die in a train crash and he was deaf.
Well, it's because none of that happened.
Because, what was he trying to teach them? They were going to die anyway.
I don't
tell
think
him a fun story.
Yeah, I think death is just wants to have some fun.
Or it could just be he's like, hey, this is your life. And then they bring out his middle school teacher, and they're like, remember her? She's the one who you puked on.
Wanted to puke on.
Tried to.
No, in their story, it did happen. The only way to avoid it was death. So if you liked this, well,
I fucking love this movie though.
It was a lot of fun.
It's Amicus, and Amicus. This is the one that kicked off them making these anthology films, where they went on to do Tales from the Crypt and the Vault of Terror or Horror. I can never remember which. But if you like this and you want something there's a fantastic parody of this movie. It's a TV series called Dr. Terrible's House of Horrible. It's the guy who directed Little Britain, and has Steve Coogan's the star. He narrates.
That's fun.
It's really, if you haven't seen it, it's on Prime. It is hilarious, especially if you've seen these movies. It's so much funnier. I've shown this to people who have not seen Amicus anthology movies, and I think it was lost on them what they were doing. Right. But it is almost like the Austin Powers to James Bond. This is for horror.
Nice.
It's very, very funny. It even has a take on the Hand story from this, where it's a dancer, and it has to do with his feet.
Tiny dancer.
So I'll say, you gotta watch it. Next week we're gonna watch.
Oh, I just want to say, you can watch this free on Tubi and YouTube.
Or not Tubi. Remember we made
YouTube? We did.
We did.
We make it every time we actually watch something on Tubi.
Tubi. Mm-hmm. Next week is Rob's pick, right?
Yeah, Rob Tony's pick, Nothing But the Night. I've heard this is a good film. I've never seen it myself. I'm excited to have an excuse to watch it. It came out in 1973.
Looks fun.
Directed by Peter Sasdy.
Ooh, he's Sasdy sassy.
Sazed. He also directed The Lonely Lady. He's known for The Lonely Lady.
What's The Lonely Lady?
The Lonely Lady has Pia Zadora in it.
Oh, is it like softcore?
Yeah, it looks like it.
All right.
So, so Nothing But the Night.
Nothing but the night. Do you think there's a hit song from Nothing But the Night called Nothing But the Night?
I wish.
I was thinking that during the trumpeter scene. I was like, featuring the hit song.
This is like a murder mystery. It almost looks like Giallo-esque kind of. Ooh. And it is playing on Amazon Prime if you want to play along.
Creamy.
So,
is that what you said?
Yeah.
So creamy.
Preemie.
Oh.
Did you say preemie or creamy?
Preemie, but I said it like
I heard preemie. I was like, creamy.
Preemie.
So at the end of every episode, we thank our Beelzebub. Sorry to rush. I want to make sure Kelley can get out of here in time. But Jimmy B, Cassie and Jeremy,
my babies,
Bill,
Billy,
Blake, Amanda, Alise,
that's my
girl. Hey, girl, see you in a minute.
Jeff,
Tree
and Alex, Ernie, Mark, Branan and Emily, Iona, and Adam.
One of.
Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Oh, and real quick, one of our biggest fans had a birthday recently, Monica.
Yeah,
I actually sent you a message to say happy birthday.
It was on Friday the 13th. So good on you, girl.
That's pretty cool.
It's a happy birthday.
How on brand for you.
Mm-hmm.